Good morning. It's June 17th. Yesterday I very confidently said it was June 16th, or 15th as I started out, and of course it was the 16th. But anyway, you'll see I'm starting somewhere different. I'm at the Saskatchewan Science Centre, my old stomping grounds, where I first started working in Regina. And I'm going to walk around, start here and then walk up to the neighbourhood north of here. So it's a beautiful morning. I did come by the Science Centre here a few days ago when I walked out to Douglas Park. So we'll start here. Yes, this is where I came as a communications officer back in 1988. It's also called the Powerhouse of Discovery because this was a former powerhouse. They were just converting it when I got up here, and we were in temporary offices for a while, and I researched and wrote almost all of the original exhibits, and was communications officer then for 5 years. We opened, I got here in the fall of '88, and we opened in April of '89, if I remember right. With Andy and Fergie were here, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. That's the Sky Bistro there, which is a very nice cafe. There's been a cafe there from the beginning, but it's been many different ones over the years. Sky is the best, I think. And then down here, this was just a shed when I started here, which had sort of thrown up to accommodate a couple of more generators, and then it was converted into the IMAX theater. Excuse me. The Kramer IMAX theater. There it is. And I still remember the opening for that. I wore a spacesuit because we were doing the first film was one of the Space Shuttle IMAX films. Graham Ferguson was here as one of the creators of IMAX, and I got to drive him around. All these trees and stuff have certainly grown up since I was here. Funny that, since I left here in 1993, it's almost been 20 years now. No, it's almost been 30 years now. That can't be right, but I'm afraid it is. Yeah, I guess in 30 years the trees do grow up a bit. My brother was even chairman of the board for the Saskatchewan Science Centre when it became, when the IMAX opened. So yeah, it was just an ugly metal shed down here back when this all began. And now it's an IMAX theater. Sask Power still has a facility just to the north here. So the theater goes, I don't know how far there, and then the cladding is the same, but you're actually into part of Sask Power's facility over here. Of course, this is all parkland. I walked along back through those trees when I went on to Douglas Park. Today I'm going to go up here, go across to the neighborhood across the street and walk over there. You can see the power part that's still here. Over here I think is a skateboard park, if I remember right. There used to be a big substation there. I was doing a show once at Dark Hall. We had a power outage between the second and third acts. It was Deflator Mouse, and the lights never came back on. That was on opening night, so we never got to do the final act on opening night. Our director, Rob Urson, came out and described what people would have seen. I've never actually walked over here. I've always known it's been here, but I've never walked here. Nobody in it right now, except the guy sitting on the bench over there. Got to watch out. There's steps that are kind of hard to see. I don't want to fall down them. Oh, somebody said hi. Who's there? Can't see in the sun. I'll find some shade. Oh, Keith. Hi, Keith. Hello from Toronto. Or hello from Regina. Back to Toronto. You're in Toronto. I'm in Regina. Let's make that clear. I will walk. Let me think. Which way do I want to go? Maybe I'll take the path a little bit here. I didn't actually walk along this path when I came out here last time. I walked over right by the lake. As you can see, the temperature is just gorgeous. It's, I don't know, 18 or something. There's no wind today to speak of. Not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful weather. Ah, there's my friends from Cyprus. Good morning, Theodore and Ezalov. Well, there's artwork over there I never noticed too. For the skate park. I'll have to walk over and take a look at that. I don't know who that guy was. He's driving too fast. Take a look at the artwork over here. I've never seen it before. Again, very nice skateboard park. And of course the artwork reflects that. Cool. I had no idea that was there until just now. That's why these walks are fun. Even though I walked like just the other side of those trees or thereabouts, not that long ago, I didn't notice this on that pass by. Oh, there's somebody in the park now. The mosquitoes have come out. So yesterday, my daughter went out to read in the backyard and came back in, chased in by the mosquitoes. All that rain on Friday and in the warm weather, they have hatched. Not noticing them here, but if I went into the shadows and walked through the grass, I would probably encounter them. Actually, I want to go this way, I think. So we'll take this path. I'm actually heading into the residential area on the other side. My niece lives over here somewhere. Don't know if I'll go by her house or not. She's a lawyer here in town. Has a baby that just turned 1. Birdie. So that's my great niece, I guess. We'll just go into the neighborhood over here and do my patented zigzag. So yeah, I walked along there and all the way along there last time I was here. Candy Cane Park over there I talked about at one point. Might end up going back through it on the way back, we'll see. Okay, never walked in this neighborhood, so let's see what we can find. Once I'm done here, I head out to the Wascana Country Club where I'll be riding this morning. This afternoon, I think I'm going to do U.S. taxes. I'm a dual citizen. So I do have to file in the States, even though I never have to pay anything because I don't make that much money. But there's I think the exemption is something like $90,000 before you have to think about possibly paying anything in the U.S. 90,000 U.S. Unfortunately, I've never made enough to have to worry about that, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. But I do have to file, and I should get that done. Yesterday I did a to-do list of all the things I want to do through my publishing. Oh, hello, Miriam. As near as I can tell, I have about 5 years of solid work to get everything done between publishing and writing projects and audiobook projects I'd like to do. The trouble is, they all take an enormous amount of time and they don't bring any money in up front. So if they're going to make any money, it's over the long term. And so you're always having to, as a freelancer, You always have to have something that brings in money right away, as well as the projects that might bring in money over time. Hello, puppy dog. He's not even barking at me. It's unusual. Didn't look friendly, but he's not barking. He had that suspicious dog look. I'll eventually end up on Broadway, which I've walked along but not down this far. I keep going this way. Walking into the sun right now, so can't really see if anybody says anything. It's odd that turns into a gravel patch there, so wide. Doesn't look like an ordinary alley. You see the trees aren't quite as big in this neighborhood, so it's a little newer than the one I live in. A little more open. Very pretty though. Everything's so green right now, especially after the big rain last Friday. At the beginning of the week I said I would finish the Tangled Stars this week, but I don't think I'm going to, because there's only 2 days left. I'm getting close, but I'm not there yet. School buses everywhere. One's coming this way, one's going that way. This one's stopping. Nope, he's just moving over to make room for the other one, I guess. See, here's Broadway, so it's really not very far from the park to Broadway. But I will keep going north of Broadway. Not yet. I have to zig down Broadway once and then zig north. As I said before, our Broadway, I'm afraid, is not as interesting as, say, Broadway in New York City. Or even Broadway in Saskatoon, which is a kind of a funky little shopping few blocks. Boutique stores and restaurants and that kind of thing. Our 13th Avenue is sort of like Saskatoon's Broadway, but Broadway is longer and has more interesting stores on it than our 13th Avenue does. Broadway is a Broadway, though, with a boulevard down the middle. We will continue. The trees got a little bigger on this side. My niece's house is back on the other side of Broadway some way, but I didn't happen to come up the street she's on. Would have surprised her if she looked out and seen me there. Oh, I see something from Keith. I just can't read it just yet. Let me see here. A few things have changed. Keith says it's fun to watch the videos. A few things have changed since he lived here. A few things have changed in the time I've lived here. There's places where there are no buildings that have buildings, and buildings that are gone. Buildings replaced with new buildings. That skate park back there certainly wasn't there. I'd say all these houses were. I don't see any of the new modern ones along here. They're cropping up in some of the open neighborhoods. I'm sure there are some somewhere, just not on this block. See, flowers are showing up. Time for another zig or zag. I don't actually know what the name of this neighborhood is. I don't know what you call it. Never really memorized those. I know some of them, like Hillsdale and Whitmore Park. And we live in the Crescents, but that's not a formal name of a neighborhood. I think we're actually part of Cathedral, formerly. Or Heritage. I've seen it called that too. Another school bus. Nope. This tree is hanging just a little low. Okay, so that's College is the next one up there. Or not the next one, but the one. Or is it the next one? Maybe it's the next one. Yeah, it's the next one. It's College, so I will zigzag back to the south. I don't plan to go on north of there. Well, let's see, how long have I been walking? Well, I guess I could. I just didn't think I'd get to it this fast. Little older houses along here. Guess there's no particular reason not to keep going north of College. I just didn't think I'd get to it this fast. Okay, well, I'll keep going and see what happens. I do know where I am. To get to College, there's a few more businesses and things here and there. Certainly down to my right, there's a bit more. There's a big school over there, and those steeples are a Catholic church. I think it's Catholic. That steeple, I mean. That's probably a Catholic school. The old part and the new part. That's where some of the school buses are headed. So sunshine along here. Quite a bit of traffic, but I will carefully cross the next street. So now we're north of College. Hello from Vancouver, Kirk. Or hello to Vancouver. So what do we got? We got Cyprus and India and Vancouver and Toronto that I know of. Oh, and Regina, because that's where I am. I think that's is that the leisure center over here, the city? There's certainly tennis courts behind that fence. And I think that's a city-owned recreational facility behind it. Not 100% sure. That's where I am. Anyway, going this way for another block. Once I'm in the sun, it feels considerably warmer than being that beautifully pleasant, cool temperature it is in the shade. Not supposed to be terribly hot though. Actually, for the next week it looks quite settled and sort of highs of 22 and lows of 13. That was like every day next week in the long range forecast. One of our long straight sidewalks. Yes, international channel. Well, it's still only like probably 6 people. I don't think I've ever had more than 6 people watching simultaneously, according to the stats. But yes, they are international. My Walk in the Rain got the most views recently on the replay. It's had like 150 views or something. Usually they're more like 30 at the most. University of Regina, walking over there tends to get more views. I think it's probably from prospective students, or I suppose alumni, wanting to see what the university looks like. I'll go back there maybe next week. The houses that have no trees in front always look very naked to me, living in a very treed neighborhood. The hedges will always take over the sidewalk if you let them. Weirdly, they are resurfacing this road, which probably means I don't want to walk across it. But that's all right, it happens to work out perfectly because the next intersection is past the work. Strong smell of oil. Where are we? McCarra Street. Oh, I knew somebody that lived on McCarra Street. Do they still live on McCarra Street? Not sure. And I think it'd be to my right if they did. All right, and then a little further up here is Victoria, I guess. Does McCarra take me to, or is it Arcola? Is McCarra the one that takes me to New Dance Horizons? That's the question. Yeah, that's Victoria up ahead of us. So that'll be my turnaround point for sure. That's it from Keith. Yes, I'm sure that's true. These little houses would cost you a fortune, and if you could find something like that in Vancouver. My brother used to live in West Vancouver. Lives in Kelowna now. Had this beautiful view out over whatever that was. Horseshoe Bay was just down. The ferry terminal was just 3 kilometers from their house. It was great if you wanted to go to Nanaimo, which we did once on the ferry from there. And then that's Arcola in front of us. It crosses Victoria over to my left at an angle. So this kind of makes a natural boundary for me to reverse direction and head back south again. All right, back down this direction. Oh, there's no sidewalk. Well, there is on. Oh, yes, there is. It's all right. I'll walk on the shady side. On the shady side of the street. All right, we have reversed direction. Shouldn't be the same streets because I'm a block off from where I was before, so no repeating. Not that it matters. When you walk back, even if you walk back the same way you came, it looks like an entirely different walk because the camera's pointing in the opposite direction. If you keep following Arcola over there, it takes you out into some of the newest parts of the city. New neighborhoods. It seems like all of my daughter's friends live within a couple of blocks of each other, but way out at the edge of town, in the southeast. So they can always get together really easily. For her, it's a 10 or 15 minute drive to get out to them. Well, one of them actually lives outside of town entirely, near Pilot Butte, but even that's closer to the others than Alice is, I think, or no different anyway. I'm just going to walk straight south here for a bit to vary things a bit more. Theodore? No. There are no public toilets or water on the street. Well, unless there's a porta potty because they're doing work, like at that road back there, but not as a general rule, no. Public fountains even? Water fountains? Possibly in a park, but it's not very common, if so. I mean, there's toilets in the parks, too, as well as what? Yeah, there's definitely water fountains in the parks. Now I remember some. And there's public toilets in the parks. Yes. But not like downtown or just an ordinary street. But downtown's not very big. You can always go into the Cornwall Centre shopping mall or the Hotel Saskatchewan lobby or someplace like that. I will start zigging again now that I've come a couple of blocks to vary things. September's a nice time to come to Regina. Weather's usually pleasant. Late September, the trees have started to change. We mostly get yellow, though. We don't get a lot of... There's a few maples and stuff, but most of the trees turn yellow. So there's not a lot of variation. But out in the Capel Valley, that's quite beautiful in the autumn. It'd be more like late September into October. Maybe sometime we'll drive out to Lumsden and I'll do a walk out there in the Capel Valley. You never know. I can go anywhere. I'm fully vaccinated. Not that anybody knows that, but we need a few thousand more people to get their first shot, and we'll move to stage 3 of our reopening, which will be basically open. Stage 2 goes up this weekend, so things will open up more. A little dirt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if you weren't here since like the 80s or 90s, they did a lot of work around the main part of the park when they did the deepening. So in 2003, I think it was, or 4, they drained the lake, deepened it, because it was being, water comes in and there's only the one spot where it goes out. It was silting up, and it's silting up now, but it's supposed to be good for another century. So, and then they did work on the paths and a lot of other things like that. So part of the lake now, at its deepest, I think, is 9 meters. Deep enough so that it doesn't freeze over winter. And back on College now. And fish can overwinter, which was kind of the point. Which is why we now have pelicans in the lake, because there's a regular supply of fish. They have to have fish. I don't think you're not allowed to fish in the lake, or if you did, you certainly wouldn't want to eat anything you caught there because of the runoff from yards and everything else around it. There'd be chemicals in there, but certainly better than it was. It used to be full of weeds in the summer, and you don't see that anymore. They also have those aeration fountains that keep the water aerated. Oh, the new Wascana pool? Yeah, that's going to be nice when they build it. Not that I'll swim in it, but not much of a swimmer. As a kid, I thought it was fun. As a grown-up, mostly bores me. And I'm not very good at it. I can manage a front crawl for a couple of links. I know how to drown proof. I always figured that was the most important thing. Always thought of the old Bill Cosby routine about Noah. How long can you tread water? Oh, there's one of those new boxy styles. There aren't nearly as many of them in this neighborhood as there are down in our neighborhood. Replacing the old houses, although the old house next to us is sold, and I suspect it's going to be torn down and something new built there. That'll be a lot of noise and disruption for a while. I hope whatever they build is nice and fits the neighborhood. Don't know for sure. I haven't met the owners there. Some nice flowers out. We haven't met the buyers, so we don't know yet who they are or what they're like. Stop sign here, so I will take advantage of that. Oh, still some lilacs in front of that house. Go on McDonald Street. Well, let's walk down the alley for a change. They're always a bit more like you're in the country when they're unpaved, and except for the garbage and recycle bins. Besides, I like the sound my feet make as they crunch on the gravel. Oh, there's another note. I'll step into the shade. Yep. Actually, we're building a deck later this summer. Probably going to be quite late because we're late getting on our contractor's list, so we may get it built just in time for winter. But part of the plan there is to put in a hot tub, which, as I get older and more complaining joints and muscles, I've never been much of a hot tub guy, but I think I can get into it, especially if it's private and my own. So maybe next year we'll have a hot tub. Don't expect any video though. Nobody wants to see me in a hot tub. This is probably Broadway. Yes, it is. Alright, now we're south of Broadway again, so not too much farther back to the car, which is at the Science Centre. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for joining me. And yeah, it'll be up later today, the full walk, if you want to finish it off. If it doesn't finish me off. Those are tiny houses. Oh, there's no sidewalk along here. Much to my surprise. Yes, very basic architecture for sure. I guess they have a second floor. Kind of. Oh, you don't see a house with white brick very often. And then there's another little one that's solid black, also an unusual choice. Oh, got myself into a cul-de-sac. Well, I guess I will turn around and just take a walk around the cul-de-sac. Or is there an alley here? I think that's just a driveway. Yeah, okay, well, a little detour. I like the orange yellow one there. I wouldn't choose that color, but I don't mind looking at it. Guess I should have looked closer before I came down this way. Yes, they are wartime houses. I lived in one, only mine was post-wartime, post-First World War, over on Garnet Avenue. Garnet Street. It wasn't much bigger than these, if any at all. These are probably Second World War. There was a housing shortage when people came back from the war and all that, so there's quite a bit of that kind of small basic housing around from that era. Or possibly during the war. Well, I always think of it as being post-war buildings, but I could be wrong. Just because the one I lived in was definitely post-First World War, I was told. So built about 1918 or something like that. All right, we'll go down Edgar Street. I'm sure it keeps going south. And it has a sidewalk, which is always nice. So yeah, my niece's house is kind of on this block, I think, but not on this street. Somewhere not far away. She has a brand new one. Another new one next to it. Ooh, empty lot there. Vacant lots were always playgrounds when I was a kid. That's where we played baseball. There was a vacant lot in Texas, in Tulia, Texas. Sort of just across the street. That's where we played baseball. Not well, because I was never very good at it, but I think there's a bit of a park up here before we get to the main park. Yep. So we'll go into the park. So now I know my niece's house is off to my right. This block or two. Holland Park. Fortunately, the sprinklers are going down at the other end. Down there. So, I guess that's Holland Park. It's really just a patch of grass. There's the main park, just up there, one more block. Got their little house. All right, I'll go across into the park. It's interesting. It's clearly an older house. Interesting colors. Okay, I know exactly where I am. Right at the crosswalk, which is, I couldn't have planned it better. Didn't plan it at all. This will take us into Candy Cane Park here. Very popular with children. Let's see, there's actually washrooms over there in that building. And there's picnic areas and things like that. Big play area, so lots of kids' parties are held here and people will bring their kids. I'm sure I brought Alice here. I guess my walkway is actually over here. Oh, first time I've had an unstable internet connection warning. So there you go. Candy Cane Park. Marked by this tree up here, painted like a candy cane. This dead tree around the corner. We'll go straight to it. Walk right across the grass. Such a rebel. Somebody has graffitied it, of course, because that's what graffiti people do. They're jerks, every last one of them. Okay, so I will get on the dirt path over here. This is the path I followed when I walked out to Douglas Park a few days ago. Now we'll take it back to the Science Centre in the car. I don't think it's an official path. I think it's one that has just developed over time. Cyclists and pedestrians. Over there is the Conexus Art Centre, and sticking up beside it is Roberts Plaza. I walked right by Roberts Plaza last week a couple of times. I'll go back to the Conexus Art Centre and walk from there to the university one of these days, maybe next week. I've done that once before. It takes you on a different path along the lake. And of course the buildings over there are the University of Regina. So this is very Saskatchewan. Dirt path, trees, water. Could be anywhere out in the country pretty much, except for the size of the lake. And a number of trees. But you would find patches of trees. Were these all planted? That's an interesting question. Water tends to attract trees, so they may have sprung up naturally. Oh, I could go up that path. Where does this take me? It's a hill. We don't really have those as a rule. Here we are in the deep, dark forest of Saskatchewan. Oh, two roads diverged in a snowy wood. It's not snowy, but the roads have diverged. Well, let's go this way. Getting unstable internet, I'm not surprised. The leaves interfere with it. Ooh, and then a downhill path. Wow. Also, I found the mosquitoes. They were all in the trees. Well, sorry about the what was undoubtedly a glitchy bit of internet. It's probably continuing. In fact, it says it's continuing. So we're back at the Kramer IMAX Theatre. I'm just going to follow the path along here to go back a little further towards the car. Of course, the lake is right there. Internet connection should improve once I come out of the trees. There we go. Science Centre, powerhouse of discovery. You can see the observatory on top of it there. As I've said before, when they were building the IMAX somewhere right about here, I set up and took photos. Yeah, right about here where this concrete thing is. I took a photo from the same place every day while the IMAX was under construction. So somewhere in my old office, maybe over there in the powerhouse, there should be a stack of photos showing the day-by-day building. I also took an inside picture, and didn't really have the technology then to scan them and turn them into a time lapse, but it could still be done if those pictures still exist. This is the outdoor science park. So, you stand up here and whisper, and somebody at the other dish can hear you, and things like that. Swings of different lengths to show how pendulums work. Levers of different lengths in the form of teeter-totters. All that kind of thing. I think that was opened while I was still here. Or was it opened afterwards, but I did some writing for it? I just can't remember now. Could use some paint. The paint fades over time, as do we all, I guess. All right, well, this brings me back to my car down at the end of this little piece of sidewalk. How long did I walk? Just about an hour. So we'll stop here in front of the Saskatchewan Science Centre again, and thanks for walking with me today. I'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow will be my weekly walk around the lake, so maybe you'll join me then. Bye for now.